What up, y'all? Appreciate you showing up, hanging out, listening to my dumb ass. Like and subscribe. So, wanted to talk about the Jason Schreier Redfall expose. I guess that's what it is, probably. Well, he put out an article basically saying why Redfall was a disaster when it launched. I mean, some of that is hyperbole. And that's the nature of the business. So, like I said, it's barely a mid-game, mid at best. So I wouldn't call it a complete disaster. It's playable. There's fun to be had if you had 4 people. I'm playing it alone, so. But yeah, it's not up to the standards where it should be, basically. And so basically he said that a bunch of people left. They weren't happy with the direction of the game because the mandate pushed down from the uppers at Bethesda, ZeniMax, and Arcane leadership dictated that, we want this game to be games of service, basically multiplayer games of service, so we can have a store, microtransactions, all that stuff. They took the microtransactions out late in development and just left it as a co-op, single player co-op shit, and it's not that good. It's an empty world, basically, except for the people that you shoot. That's one of the reasons why it's bad. They should have, just nature, a little bit of nature, maybe some birds. I mean, are there birds? No, I'm thinking about another thing. I'm thinking about Ghostwire Tokyo. Birds and butterflies and maybe a squirrel or two. You telling me all the animals left because they smelt the vampires and they ran away? I don't think so. So yeah, they should have that stuff. That would give a little bit of something to the world, and maybe some systems that, a la, I was gonna say Tears of the Kingdom, but that would go a long way too. If you could craft some stuff and do some crazy stuff to dispatch the vampires. I don't know, but it makes sense though. It makes sense of how the game came out, and I'm like, it's not a great game. It's not great. So, I listened to the Phil Spencer interview with, I think it was on Kinda Funny or something, and they were explaining. He was apologizing. It was hard to listen to because Phil was not in a good mood. You could tell, and he knew this was coming because he left them alone. He let them do their thug thizzle, and obviously Arcane could not do. They couldn't handle it themselves. They couldn't self-manage or whatever, I don't know how Bethesda did it in the past. But I see where the problem is because Redfall was the first game that the mandate came down from the uppers at Bethesda to make it a games of service game. And that's not what Arcane does. You know what I'm saying? That's like telling Naughty Dog to make a games of service game, multiplayer game. See how that's turning out? Bungie saw how it was turning out, saying, get that piece of shit. Get that crap out of here. And that's what happened. And see, these businessmen, these CEOs, these people in the high places who aren't making games shouldn't be making these decisions. Or if they say, we want to have a game that's a games of service game, you don't hire a painter to sculpt you a statue. You don't hire a sculptor a sculptor might be pretty good at painting. But I'm just saying, you don't hire a mechanic to build you a house. Well, that's not, they might be able to build a house. I'm coming up with bad, but you know what I'm saying. Stay in your lane. If you're good at something, then that's what you do. If you want to branch out or slowly add some different, mechanics in to modify or to enhance what you've already built on to your foundation, then do that. Like, for instance, if they had built a single player game that was in the ilk of the Prey games and of the Prey game and the Dishonored games, and then said, okay, we can maybe make this multiplayer, and did that, then this game would have been like 1,000 million times better, because they would have developed it as, like, say if it was an open world single player game. Now that's a little bit more tricky and difficult, but as far as level design, see, I don't even know what's wrong with Redfall. I think there isn't enough there. And the lore, there isn't enough of like lore nuggets to grab the player to be like, oh man, what do I, you know? It's just you do something and then boom, you got three little icons on the map. You're like, okay, you got to do this one, you got to do this one, and then they do this one, and you got to go to the helicopter crash, and then it's the open world icon to chase around. But what they should have done, which they kind of do, is you say you can have an option. You say, I want to just do the single player story, and then it'll say, okay, boom, first you do this mission, and then you got to go to this next spot to do that. I mean, that's kind of how it works, but then they put all these other icons for you to do other stuff, which is fine. Yeah, it's a hard thing to figure out, like how to do an open world right. I mean, I guess GTA does it pretty good, but they have the luxury of having cars and stuff, and that's mainly, GTA, Grand Theft Auto. You go, oh, I like that car. You go steal it, and that's not the loop of the game, but and then within that there's characters and blah blah blah, and scenarios that they create. And so why couldn't they do the same thing with Redfall? I would say that the core characters that you play are pretty strong. As far as the characters, like the vampire gods or whatever they are, I don't really know. I think I've come across the one. I can't remember the name now. The one guy, but I think he's like, was he the main guy? The first? I think he was the first one. I don't know, but I don't think there's enough. There's like not enough lore that is given to the player easily. It's like, oh, you got to read all these freaking notes and stuff. I'm like, look, I go and I open them and I close them right away. I'm like, I'm not reading this. I don't want to. Nope. This stuff should have been given to us, in digestible bits and bites. Not no Kojima cutscene, but give us some story so that we can be interested and invested in these characters and stuff. Make it interesting. Give each of the vampire gods a personality that is such that, oh snap, that dude was this, that, and the third, But I mean, maybe it's in there, but it's not apparent. It's not obvious. So I don't know, whatever. But this is what happens with any studio that is not A, happy with what they're doing, and B, not really versed in what they need to do. And so the thing about, Redfall aside, you look at what Sony's doing, and their mandate is games of service. They're like, yo, we gotta make all this money. Meanwhile, they are canceling one of their greatest multiplayer, I would say, offerings from first party, which was The Last of Us Factions. The first one was, I guess, liked by the ponies, but honestly, for me, I'm looking at them like, how are you gonna sell skins and stuff for it to stay a Last of Us Factions game? How are you gonna sell like Bugs Bunny skin? You can't do that. A, because you'd have to pay for the license, and Sony's not gonna do that. B, what, are you just gonna have a Space Jam shirt or something? Like a ripped up Space Jam shirt or ripped up Spider-Man shirt? Is that what you're gonna do? It's foolish. Honestly, that's probably what it was, to be real. But, it's not a Fortnite is fantastical. There's no blood. It's just you shoot them and then they disappear into freaking micro bits or something. It's crazy. But The Last of Us Factions is people dying, getting their face bitten off by a mushroom zombie. That's a little different. So, Bungie saw it and was like, And was it the aesthetic? Or was it that, how are you going to monetize this? How are you going to monetize it with the aesthetic stuff, And outside of just that, how are you going to monetize? Like, what's the gun mechanic? Is there a billion guns? Is it can you build your own guns? Or there's so many questions as to why Bungie squashed The Last of Us Factions Part 2. And I'm still wondering why. I want to see what that game looked like. I mean, we saw the concept art, and it's like it just looks like a multiplayer Last of Us game. And in the long term, it's like, yeah, that's whack. That's boring. That's not games as a service. That's just a multiplayer game. You know, games as a service, you have to look at it differently. It's not the traditional multiplayer. I mean, Halo Infinite, they're running into it because they didn't have enough staff to cover that cadence, the 3-month cadence. They didn't have enough people. You need thousands of people making stuff all the time to keep that up. And you have to be, you know, three freaking drops deep. You got to be 3 seasons, let's just say, deep. 3 battle passes deep. You know what I'm saying? Meaning, you got to be 3 ahead of what you're about. You about to put out one, you got 2 other ones, and a third one just starting that y'all working on. That's how y'all got to do it, because you can't just be like, okay, that's done. Let's take a week off and then we'll start the next. No, that's not how it works. That's a full-time studio job for real. So, you know, I don't know if Microsoft wanted to invest in it like that. I mean, if they did, then it could be a juggernaut. It could be something that people play because the foundation is there. And like, if you think about foundationally, like, which of these games is the best playing? You know, that's a question I don't hear anybody asking. Like, is Apex better than Fortnite as far as playability? Probably. Is it better than Call of Duty Warzone? Questionable, because, you know, Respawn is the one who birthed it. Not the whatchamacallit, not the Battle Royale, but the Call of Duty style. Now, is Halo Infinite play better than Fortnite? I would say yes, hell yes. But like I said, this doesn't have the stuff. This doesn't have the content. So, but whatever, it's all good. But I appreciate you guys showing up, hanging out with my dumbass. And let me know about this Redfall thing. Is it like, I mean, I don't think it's doom and gloom. It's just part of the industry that we don't see that much, because the other alternative would have been Microsoft cancels the game, like Scalebound. And so then it would be even worse publicity. I think Randolph Thor was talking about it. And I agree with him. If they would have canceled Redfall, it would have been worse, instead of putting out what they put out and being barely disappointing, or just disappointing. So I agree with their decision to put it out. Oh man, I cut myself. But yeah, and I believe that this has taught Phil, in a way, a lesson that it's admirable to kind of leave a studio alone, let them do their thug thizzle, but at the same time, you gotta pay attention to what they're doing and say, yo, y'all need help, what's going on, so that, you know, you can prevent stuff like this, prevent cancellations, and prevent bad games coming out. You know, that's about what it is. But, you know, it's all good. Yeah, we'll see. But let me know in the comments what you guys think about this whole Redfall thing. And the showcase is coming up. So, you know, I'll probably do one more video before then. Maybe some predictions. I don't know. I usually don't do predictions and stuff, but I think I might do some this time. And we'll see what's up. And yeah, that's about it. I appreciate y'all. And I'll see you on the next one. Took the Wade.